Welcome back to For the Home Cook. So of course we are getting closer and closer to Thanksgiving, which means you're going to be spending a lot more on food to feed family and friends as you get closer to that holiday, on top of all of the other food you already have to buy for you and your family just on a normal week. So of course this show is all about saving money on our grocery bills. So I've got 5 segments that are Thanksgiving themed. We're going to go through the whole meal and talk about some ways that we can maybe save some money. Is it worth just getting what's in the box versus making it homemade? We'll talk about prices. We'll talk about the pros and cons of each one of these things. And of course, we are going to do some recipes that you can use year round. So just because it's not Thanksgiving doesn't mean you can't make stuffing or dressing or turkey or green bean casserole or any of those great things. But of course, we put those into the Thanksgiving category. So my advice as we get closer to Thanksgiving is every time that you go to the store, if you can, go ahead and grab a few items that you are going to need for Thanksgiving to lessen the cost once you get closer to the actual holiday. For example, obviously don't buy produce. That's not going to last for 4 weeks or 5 weeks. But next time you're at the store, maybe grab a can or two of the green beans. Maybe go ahead and get those onions that you're going to put in the casserole. Think of things like pumpkin and soups, your cream of mushroom soup, all those soups that you're going to use. Think about things like your brown sugar, your marshmallows, sugar, flour, all of those pantry staples. Also think about what spices that you're going to use. So like sage, nutmeg, poultry seasoning, all of those things that can start to get a little pricey once you're adding it into everything else that you're buying. So think about cookware as well, like the plates and the bowls and the spoons. We always get stuff that we can just throw into the trash, but if that's not what you want to do, still make sure that you have everything that you need for that day. This is going to lessen your overall grocery bill down the road. So we're just going to kind of spread it out. Some of these items in the store won't go up in price, but some will. So of course today we're going to start with the most expensive part of this meal, which is the turkey. So a study shows that 43% of the cost of Thanksgiving, dinner, lunch, whatever you want to call it, is the turkey. So what can we do about that? First of all, I'm going to say in my household, we're not too big on eating, the thigh meat, the legs and the wings and all of that kind of other stuff. To me, I am a turkey breast fan through and through. I don't want all the other stuff. And so a lot of times in a lot of families, if you don't eat that or if you don't save it, a lot of that stuff is going to go to waste. So when you think of you buying a whole turkey, how much of that is the actual carcass? How much of that is, parts of it that you're not going to eat? So when we talk about turkey, here's my advice. So get turkey when it's on sale. So I went to the store this past weekend and I saw some of the frozen turkeys that were 97 cents a pound. Perfect time to go ahead and buy your turkey if you can. You're gonna spend, anywhere between 20 bucks or so, depending on how big of a turkey that you're getting. But who knows when that price is gonna go back to 97 cents. It may go up or it may, be at a time where maybe you can't afford it 2 weeks from now. So let's talk about the breast meat versus the whole turkey. So first of all, you're wanting a half a pound to a pound per person. The half a pound is just turkey breast. A pound is per person for a whole turkey, and that's including everything that you're going to throw away or not use. So look for the prices when they're under $1 right now. In some places they are for the full whole turkeys. So go ahead and pick one up if you can at this point, if you know how many people or about how many people are going to be at your get together. So when we talk about turkey breast, let's talk about the turkey breast versus the turkey tenderloin. I didn't even know turkey tenderloin was a thing. I learned something new this week. So when you talk about turkey breast, you're going to do that half a pound per person. And what I would say is, because turkey is going to be the most expensive part, let's get enough to feed the family, a little bit for leftovers, and then focus on all of those sides where we can lower the cost of our meal versus, spending a whole bunch of money on a turkey breast and then you have leftovers and then you're also spending a bunch of money on your sides. So good rule of thumb, go ahead and get a boneless, or you can get a bone-in turkey breast, or you can get turkey tenderloins, and we'll talk about the difference between those and the good and the bad. So I have 2 methods that we are going to make turkey. Now, please, please, please do not be like some relatives of mine who would put it on the night before at like 275 and then let it go all day. That temperature is not killing any bacteria, and you should not be leaving the oven on for several hours. So some ways that we can avoid doing that, because it is unsafe, is get out the slow cooker. So that's what I have here in front of me. So the slow cooker method. So I have a 3-pound turkey breast. It cost me about $12. And if you think of that, 3 pounds, half 1, half 2, half 3, technically it's going to feed about 6 people, but If you need more, obviously get more. This one was only $12 for a 3-pound turkey breast. You can get it at the store right now. You can also get some that are a little bit bigger. They're not as great of a price with the bone in, but for 3 pounds, cost me $12, and we're gonna put it in the slow cooker. So what I've done for this recipe is, on the bottom of your slow cooker, I always get these liners because I am not cleaning this thing up. So get a liner. On the bottom, we put a cup of chicken broth. You can also use vegetable broth or whatever kind of broth that you want. I also cut up half of an onion and sprinkled it on the bottom of the slow cooker, and that's gonna do 2 things. So it's one, gonna lay a base of flavor. So you're gonna get that onion flavor that's kind of roasting into your turkey. But also, when you put the chicken broth on the bottom and you put your onions on top and you sit your turkey breast on there, it's gonna allow for the chicken broth to steam and to also keep your turkey breast full of moisture while it is cooking. So I've got this in here. It can go on low, depending on the size. A 3-pound turkey breast can go on low for about 3 to 4 hours. It can go on high for, you know, a little bit less than that. The thing I like about the slow cooker though is that you can put this in that morning. It doesn't take a lot of prep work, and then you can let this go for as long as it needs. But this is going to not take up as much room in your oven or in a pan that's super, super huge. So you can put this on the table, you can put this on a counter, out of sight, out of mind, and it's gonna be cooking. Go check on it. You can even put a thermometer if you have, you know, one of those that is heat proof. You can put a thermometer in there, wait for it to get 165 degrees, and then take it out. And then this one has the little net on it, so we'll take that off. We'll wait 20 minutes to carve it. Now, obviously, one of the best things about turkey and turkey breast is the crispy outside. So you can put this under the broiler for about 5 minutes on the highest heat possible, put it in the air fryer even, and crisp that outside of the skin. So this is one method that we can do. It's gonna save us a little bit of time. It's gonna save us some effort just to throw it in there. Now, what I also like about this one that I bought is it came with the turkey gravy. Now, if you have your own fancy recipe, you love turkey gravy, making it from scratch, keep this for a rainy day. It doesn't matter. But this is gonna taste as good as anything that you're gonna make. It's not like all the recipes are different. So this came with it. This means that we can take this, we can take the drippings from here, put it into a pan, heat it up. We'll have gravy in 2 to 3 minutes for our turkey. The other way that we're gonna do this, so I also got turkey tenderloin. So this came in 2, probably this big of pieces. It's 1.5 pounds total. It cost me $11. Now, just like any tenderloin that you do, it's a lower cook time. So this one only has been cooking for an hour. 50 to 60 minutes is what you're gonna do with tenderloin. Now, if you're feeding a lot more people, maybe don't do tenderloin because 1.5 pounds is only gonna feed 3 people. You can double that. So now you're spending $20 to feed 6 people, but you're gonna spend that much on a whole turkey. You just may not get as much meat. So think about who are you feeding in your house? Who is going to eat what, and then kind of base your decision on that. I like the turkey breast idea. I like the tenderloin idea if you want something that's gonna cook within an hour and you're not having to feed a lot of people. So the same thing with this one that's in the oven, the tenderloin. I just took a pan in the bottom, I put some chicken broth and I put a bed of onions, put the tenderloins, I put them in a bag with some compound butter. So I just did butter with salt, pepper, some garlic, and some poultry seasoning. You can do whatever seasonings that you want. I put that all in a bag. I let it hang out for a little bit and then put it on top of that bed of onions in the oven, 350 for about an hour. So I want to show you what this looks like. Once again, if you want the crispy crust, perfect. Put it underneath the broiler, let it go for about 5 or 6 minutes, and then you're going to have a crispy crust and also tenderloin. In theory, this should, you know, not be super dry. Should be pretty good in theory. So that's what we have here. So this has been in the oven for about an hour. We take it out. We're gonna let it rest for about 20 minutes. And I know as soon as I pick this up, you guys are gonna take a camera shot of that. But let's take this out. Once again, if you wanna broil it on both sides and make the whole thing crispy, you can. You don't have to. All right, so we've got our tenderloin. It's actually trying to fall apart, which I love. We all kind of fall apart sometimes, don't we? So this, you can strain out these onions. You could also blend this up, but what we're gonna use this for is our gravy. So, let's see here. I'm just gonna dump this into a measuring cup. I'm gonna try not to get any of our onions. If you do, it's fine. You can just take them out, but just making sure that we have about 4 cups worth of these like drippings, whatever is in the pan. If you don't, you can also substitute some chicken broth. So here we've got about a little bit more than a cup, which is fine. Now these onions, they're gonna have some great flavor to them, so you can keep them, blend them up to do into your gravy, whatever you'd like to do with that. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna make some turkey gravy. I'm not a huge fan of turkey gravy. I'm cool with just getting the turkey and, you know, getting on with my life. I'm more of a sides person than I am a turkey person, but that's okay. All right, so what we've got here is I've got a 1/2 cup of butter, which is a stick of butter. We've got this going in here. Got it melted. And then because we need 4 cups, I'm gonna go ahead and fill the rest of this up to 2 cups, and then we'll need 2 more cups. It's probably, like, I've only used this box of chicken broth, and I was able to put some in the slow cooker in this tenderloin, and I'm about to make pretty much all of the gravy with that. So I've got the butter, it's on about medium-high heat. You can get a whisk, you can get a fork. In my family, we did all of our gravies with a fork. Do whatever you want in whatever pan that you would like to do that. So we're gonna go equal amounts of butter and flour. So I've got 1/2 cup here, and you wanna whisk. You do not want clumps in this, so whisk while you work. We're basically just making a roux to make our gravy. So we'll make sure this doesn't have any clumps. This is gonna be probably the one thing that you really have to pay attention to. Do not think I'm gonna make some gravy and then walk away to, you know, fulfill a dream. Don't do that. All right, we've got the last of that. We're gonna let this cook for probably about 30 or 45 seconds. 1, make sure we don't have clumps. 2, to make sure that we cook that flour taste out. Nobody likes that flavor. All right, and then from here, all right, so now we've got our liquid. This is 2 cups, and then we'll need another 2 cups. Name of the game here is just keep whisking. This is what we call multitasking. So this is already starting to thicken up a lot. So let's go ahead and add the rest of this in here. You want to whisk fast. Try to get all those clumps out. And then we're going to turn this down to right about medium. You want it to kind of simmer, but you know, if it boils too fast, it's going to thicken up on you. And then you're going to be fighting gravy that's way, way, way too thick. So I have unsalted chicken broth. Obviously, we're going to get some seasoning from the drippings. There was salt in that I put in there. So be careful adding in some seasonings until you get to this point. So I love pepper and gravy. Like, I think that those go together so, so well. So I'm gonna, it says about a teaspoon of pepper. I just eyeball it. And this is usually the last thing that you do once the turkey's out, somebody's carving that at the table, then you can get all of those drippings and go ahead and make your gravy. Now, if this is too thick, as we start to let it cook, you can add more liquid to it. If for some reason it's too thin, so sorry, you can get some flour and some water, kind of like a slurry, or some cornstarch and water, mix those up, throw it in here on a medium-high heat, let it all cook, and just kind of add more of your roux to that. All right, so we're gonna let that cook for just a few minutes. I'm gonna go ahead and get a spoon so I can test it. Obviously, this is gonna be hot, so be careful. I think it needs salt. That's just me. So yeah, once you get there, you can try it, see what it needs. Like I said, because we had unsalted chicken broth, I can tell that we need some salt in here. If you have regular chicken broth, then just go ahead and taste it before you start adding more salt. I also put in some garlic. We have the flavor from the onion, so I can taste all of that in here. But if you're tasting it, you're like, I could use some more whatever, just add that in there. It's fine. All right, so we're gonna turn that off. I'm gonna let that sit. As soon as this is done, you wanna go ahead and put it in a bowl and it's ready to serve so it doesn't, go haywire and get too thick on you. All right, let's talk more turkey right quick. So this is what we've got. And then you want to wait about 20 minutes and then go ahead and you can slice this up. Now this has a pretty, I like it. It's a pretty crispy skin. If you wanted crispier, put it back under the broiler, put it in your air fryer. It's not going to impact it to put it into those and just kind of crisp up the outside. But you can see if you have maybe 3 or 4 people, maybe 5 people max. If you don't eat a whole lot of turkey, like I'm cool with 2 or 3 pieces and we call it good. If you're from a family that's going to eat a lot of turkey, obviously maybe don't get the tenderloin. Maybe go ahead and get, a few turkey breast or get 2 packages of this. Like I said, it's going to cost you about $11 for these 2 pieces of turkey. But I can tell you when I put them in the bag this morning, these did not decrease by much, if that helps. So, a lot of times when you cook something, it'll decrease, the fat will render out, and then you're left with something half the size. This one did not do that. This is still the same size pretty much that we had this morning. So turkey, gravy, the first and the most expensive part of the dish. We're starting with turkey here. As we go throughout the next few weeks, we're going to do things like sides and desserts. We're going to talk about some of the traditional sides. We're going to talk about maybe some things that you can throw in there that aren't traditional. That are maybe a little more cost effective. But for now, because we've got our turkey, we've got our dressing, we've got our gravy. We're doing dressing next time. Because we have these, this is the biggest part. We're doing some time consuming, some less time consuming ways and also some more cost effective ways that we can save a little bit of money as we get closer to Thanksgiving. So thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next time.